Hello and welcome to Happy Cells and Souls. My name is Julie Powers and I'm a licensed Zumba instructor and I'm an affiliate with the Juice Plus company. My missions in life are to help people understand that life is better when you're dancing through it and to inspire healthy living around the world. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level and more joy at the cellular level. Because we only get one life while we're here. We only get one body. We got to take care of it. And we should be as happy as possible. And we should surround ourselves with happy, joyful, fun people that impact the world in positive ways. And that's what these videos are about, is I get to talk to some really amazing people that I've gotten to know over the years. And today's conversation is featuring Christy Allen. And I first met Christy probably about 8 years ago, because she and I are both in the Juice Plus company. And so we share a lot of things that are similar in our lives, but not just about this company that we deal with. But she has a fascinating story. And Christy, you are now, what prompted this conversation is that you have your certification in plant-based nutrition from the Colin Campbell School of Nutrition through Cornell, through their online courses, eCornell.
Yes.
And I wanted you to share your story about what made you want to go back to school again. And I mean, you really immersed yourself in a major program in a very short period of time to do it all. And you've had a windy road. You've had a windy road, but it's fascinating. So I would love for you to start from the fact that, yes, you got a journalism degree. And then you went on the road with Paul McCartney, and then what happened? I mean, come on.
My husband says that I should write a book because of all the different things that I've done. And I think I might actually do that because it's very, very different. Starting from, I was telling you that I wanted to be a social worker because I wanted to help people. I wanted to do, good in the world. I wanted it to make a difference. And in school, we did a aptitude test that said I should be a grain farmer or a forest ranger. And the guidance counselor didn't know what to do with that. And neither did I at first. But I think in my life, I've kind of taken the love of outdoors and mixed it with my love of wanting to make a difference. And I started off going to school in medicine. Actually, veterinary medicine was my first avenue. And I got waylaid. I've always get these like opportunities. And the opportunity, I was going down to Texas A&M, was to go on the road as the first woman ever for the world's largest sound and lighting company, Showco, and be a lighting roadie. And so I did that for, I don't know how many years, and worked my way up from roadie to senior roadie to lighting designer to senior lighting designer. And I had an opportunity to just travel the world. I mean, I went to Europe. I spent an entire year in Canada because they said it was easier to send equipment up than it was to send people back and forth. Right. So I lived in Canada for a year just doing, I think it was Burton Cummings and doggone it, it's going to come to me, Nazareth. And there were just a bunch of different rock and roll bands that I worked with up there. And I loved the travel. I loved meeting different people. And that was really exhilarating. Well, then it became time to settle down, right? And get going. And so I decided to complete my education. And I did get a journalism degree. And I did enjoy that a lot, but it wasn't totally everything that I wanted to do. Because remember, I kind of had that interest in medicine. So I had a daughter at the time who was what was considered medically fragile. She required 24-hour care. She got her first bleeding ulcer when she was 6 months old, and I was a single mom. So I did all of her respiratory therapy at home. I had narcotics at home, and basically the doctors, they trusted me and they told everyone, just let mom, whatever she ordered, if at midnight I could call up and order oxygen or drugs, they just said, give it to her. We'll sign off it in the morning. You don't need to wake us up. She knows what she's doing. So that really piqued my interest again to make the difference in the world through, medical competency. But she passed, and at that time, I pivoted. I pivoted from the medical world to the prevention world because I saw an opportunity to help people not end up in the hospital, to help people live healthier. And that was always my goal. And I did meet, the Juice Plus company. And that was the main reason I tried it, was I wanted to be drug kicking and screaming into old age. And I really felt like that was the results that I got, and
Right.
so I was pretty satisfied, and it was a growth experience to be a marketing representative, an affiliate with the company. But it was not totally everything. And I realized that my journey involved learning. Actually, within this company, we have access to some of the premier experts in nutrition. And I gobbled that up and I went, wait a second. I have learned to eat healthier and be healthier. I am a healthy 71-year-old who takes no meds. And I think my vitality is really good and I love life and enjoy life. And I wanted to offer that to other people. If
Right.
I could do it through education, so could they, right? And that's why I decided to go back to school. And I loved it. I gobbled it up. It was intense. It was like 8 hours a day. And a friend of mine pointed out that it was a semester every 2 weeks. It was 16 hours every 2 weeks. And I had to write papers and I had to do homework. And I was just loving it. I loved it. And then he pointed that out and I went, oh, maybe this is too hard. But it wasn't. And so then I am taking that knowledge, and my company name is Whole Food Vitality. And the idea is to eat whole food because in my journey, remember when I was going to create this company, I got involved in emergency medical services. And so I'm still certified in the state of Kansas as an EMT. And I saw so many things that are preventable. Talking to my husband today, the number one cause of death in America today is still heart disease. And the number two is cancer. And those are right now, they're actually saying 90% preventable.
Right. And isn't it crazy that people haven't figured that out yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, one of the advantages I have in being 71 is I remember home cooked meals. I remember before McDonald's existed. I remember, high fructose corn syrup didn't exist.
Mhm.
Modified food starch, things that they have put into our food to make it longer shelf life, to make money. It's all about money. It's not about our health. And so, yeah. And that's what I'm hoping to do with Whole Food Vitality. And I'm really excited about it, is to educate people at their own speed, meet them where they're at, so that they can make better choices and end up not a statistic, but have a long and vital life.
Right.
And one of the best tools is the concentrated plant powders, because that is a foundational thing.
Right. That's, it's a functional food. That's the future, really.
Yeah.
Because so many reasons that food is picked before it's ripe and it's, shipped thousands of miles and then it's sprayed and radiated and covered in junk. But you know what? I do want to ask you, so I was just re-listening to something yesterday by Stephen Ritz, who if you haven't ever heard of Stephen Ritz, if you're watching this, you need to Google him, and you need to Google the Green Bronx Machine, because he has taken urban gardening to the next level through the school systems in the Bronx. But he has a quote that he always talks about, is that it's so much easier to raise a healthy child than it is to fix a broken man. And I think you can insert woman, adult, whatever, but
Person.
a person, any person. So if we can get these kids healthy on the front end so that they can live their best lives and not turn on all those bad genes and, really live a very full, healthy life, then they're going to be full, healthy adults, right? And so you and I both share the fact that we had daughters who were 24-hour medical care, and they're both on the other side, living their best afterlife. Uh,
Running and playing.
they're doing all those things that they couldn't do while they were here. And I find it interesting that you and I both had that moment where we're like, wait a minute, maybe this wouldn't have helped my child because of the instance that caused whatever it was that happened. But why should any child suffer? Why should
Sure.
any child suffer? And why should any mom or dad go through that? And so the fact that you've gone into this extra training to be able to help people is just the evolution of who you are. And I think too, the fact that you're willing to do it at 71, because that shows your focus on learning. And
Yeah.
I know that that has been something that you and I are involved with several different things in our lives, where we come in contact with each other and we hear the same things and we learn the same things. But I've heard you speak about your personal evolution in how you looked at your reaction to other people, and how you play a part in other people's lives. And so do you want to talk about that in being more on the forefront of the prevention end and not just through the functional food of Juice Plus?
Well, if I understand you correctly, yeah, I think it has to do with understanding people's perceptions. I look at my own journey, and I I used to think a home cooked meal was when I would microwave a frozen burrito and pour a glass of organic milk for my son because I did it at home, right? So
Right.
that's a home cooked meal.
Technically,
And
technically.
technically, yeah. And so I have empathy for people who don't know, because it's not I really think the US government has been I can't think of the right word, but the food manufacturers have kind of taken over a little bit, and they're not doing a really good education with people on what really is good food, and how to eat it, how to eat healthily. One of my other jobs, which I didn't mention, was I did teach reading in elementary school. I was a professor at Park University for EMS, but emergency medicine. Sorry, I shouldn't use an acronym. But with the kiddos, these kids were in a Title IX school that I worked at, and they didn't know, if it didn't come from Walmart or McDonald's, they didn't know it as food. They didn't understand what food was and how it could energize them. And I'd play a little game with them at lunch, and I would find out, did they like to play football or soccer or dance or cheer? And I would point to the fresh fruits and vegetables and say, oh, this is football food. And the boys would go, what? And I'd say, yes, this makes you strong. It makes you want to, run faster, and you can make more touchdowns, or you can dance longer. And I enjoy doing that,
Mhm.
to teach them about that, because mostly the bad stuff is what everybody gets, and the good stuff here is like extra, and the kids don't take it. So I really felt like that made a difference. It really did. And
Right.
to go to what I'm doing with Whole Food Vitality, it's a similar thing. Meet people where they're at, what their busy lives are like, and educate them that there are ways to eat more healthy, to live more healthy, that are easy. We just didn't know, or we don't know about them. We
Right.
really don't. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, a lot of people think they're under this sort of assumption that eating healthy is very expensive. It costs so much to eat healthy. And
Absolutely.
it's so not true that it costs so much
Yeah.
to eat healthy. It costs so much less to eat healthy. And there is a learning curve to it, though. There's a
Yeah.
learning curve to it. And so, we have about 6 minutes left of this conversation. And I'm wondering if maybe in what you've learned, if there are some helpful tips that you might like to share with somebody who might be watching this. And maybe this is the first time they've ever really been interested enough to start thinking about it, and to start not just learning about it, but start making the activity match the learning.
Yep.
Because that happens a lot is we put a lot of stuff in our heads, but we don't actually act on it properly. And so it's time to start making those changes. So is there one specific tip that you would be like, this is just really important? This is a basic thing that everybody should know.
Oh,
I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I know.
For one, but have you ever seen those? They're sometimes on social media, but it's What America Eats, and it will have a picture of the typical American diet, which is called SAD, SAD, Standard American Diet, and it's going to be filled with chicken nuggets, pizzas, soft drinks, fast foods. And then they will show a picture of what the average family in a third world country eats. And it's full of whole grains, fresh fruits, and vegetables. The American family, going back to what you said, the standard American diet, it runs something like $400 to $600 a week for a family of four. The third world country is spending, I don't know, $3 a person per week, $12 a week they're eating on. And I know that some people go, oh, that's just horrible. They're poor and they're eating lower quality. They're not. They're not. It is a fact that when people move from countries where they don't have high heart disease and stroke and cancer rates, they move to America. They didn't change their nationality. They didn't change their culture, but they start to eat the American diet and they start to suffer from those diseases. And that's probably, if I can underscore that, is be careful, because we're being fed a bill of goods about what food is. I mean, when was the last time you saw an advertisement for a vegetable?
Right. Exactly.
We don't. Yeah.
Well, I think that, I was just thinking about this, that when people go on diets or their doctors ask them to start keeping a food journal so that they know what it is they actually eat, right? So they can get a really good picture, because we always think we're doing better than we actually are.
Sure.
But if we start writing down every single thing that we eat, if families would start tracking what they're eating and how much it costs to buy those things, including all the fast food, all the vending machine, all the Starbucks, all the whatever they happen to get, and start really keeping track of that, I think they would see that buying fresh fruits and vegetables, or frozen if you can't get fresh, and beans and legumes and lentils and all of these things, that it's so much cheaper. It's so much
cheaper. It is. Get an Instant Pot and make your own beans. It's easy and it's quick. Batch cook.
Yes.
Batch cook. Take a day and cook a bunch and then do leftovers. My husband and I do that a lot. But yeah, it really is cheaper. And here's the other side, because that I have the medical background too. And I have been telling people for years, you're either going to invest in your health now, or you're going to pay for it later.
A whole lot more later.
A whole lot more. And money, but you're also going to pay for all the medical interventions that you have to go through. I mean, there's giant cancer, buildings now.
Right.
It's obscene in a way. And I got really inspired when I would see in the business section of our local newspaper things that had to do with nutrition. There was one, they said, invest in this company, they're doing prosthetics. And I assumed it was from IEDs, military limbs being blown off. No, their number one consumer was the local children's hospital for children who have diabetes.
Yeah.
And they're losing their limbs. And see, that's what inspires me, is like, that didn't need to happen.
No, that never needed to happen. We were forced into changing adult onset diabetes into an easier to swallow type 2 diabetes, because too many children were getting it and they don't have to. And you're right. And so we have about 30 seconds left. So I want to give you a chance to wrap this up, because you might have one more thing that you just really want to share. But I do want to tell you how much I appreciate you and and all the people like you out there, you know, whether they're part of our Juice Plus family or they're doing nutritional training on their own, or they're just moms and dads who really want to get it right for their families, it matters.
Yeah.
It matters. And so we appreciate you for going back and learning more about it and impacting all the lives. So any last words, Christy?
Food for thought. Have conversations, be willing to learn, reach out. You can check out my website, wholefoodvitality.net, but learn. And there are easy ways. There's great recipes. There's great ways to eat, healthier for your family, and you're going to appreciate the results. It is an investment. Your return on investment is high.
Yes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you sharing your expertise.
Thanks. I've loved